Hello everyone, welcome to On Track with UW Math. I'm here with a very special guest.
Hi guys, I'm Dhriti. I work in the Faculty of Mathematics as an undergraduate recruitment officer.
Nice, and what's the best part of your job?
I basically just get to talk to students all the time, which is super fun because I love interacting with people. I actually really like talking to their parents too, and just helping them through what is probably like a really, really hard decision that they make about where they want to go to school. So I just love talking to people.
And what's like the most challenging part of your job, would you say?
The same thing, talking to people. It's my favorite, but it's also the most challenging just because you want to help them in so many ways, and people around the world are facing so many different challenges. So it can be really, really enriching for me, but it's also just I just want to help them do whatever they can, and you want to make that the best experience. So it's the biggest challenge just because it's the thing that I take the most seriously as well in my job.
So the transition from high school to university is huge for students. So what should every first year know that no one tells them?
I would hope that they do hear this, so maybe it's not that no one tells them, but a point that I want to emphasize, I guess, is that first year, while setting up your foundations academically, studying well, going to classes, all of that is really, really important. I think first year is also a really important time to set up your foundations outside of your academics, so building good sleep habits, finding your community, finding your people, nourishing your body, just day to day going through and figuring out what really works for you, I think is really important, and that in turn, in your upper years, that sets you up better for success academically and professionally. And when you don't do that in your first year, when you don't prioritize figuring out those things about yourself, it just gets that much harder afterwards to really find success. So
my next question for you is, what is something that students stress about that doesn't actually matter?
I think, and again, this is so fair, I remember stressing about this as well, but I think a lot of students stress about figuring out exactly what they want to do at age 17, 18. We've all been there, but so many people, when they get to university or even after they graduate university, make little modifications to their plan or change their plan, change their career paths, and that takes a lot of courage. It's not an easy thing to do, but so many people do it, and you don't realize that until you get to university. Before then, you just feel like you have to figure out exactly what you were going to do for the next 60 years when you're 17, and that's just not possible. I don't know a lot of people that have done that and then gone through that exact plan and ended up exactly where they want to be and then never considered a change. And grade 9, people stress a lot about how they do in grade 9, which doesn't matter in the large scheme of things as long as they've been able to improve in grade 11 and 12.
Grade 12, I think, is that pivotal year where everyone is okay, we really have to lock in. So I think that's good advice. That's a good thought. My next question for you is, what has surprised you since working in math recruitment?
It's so hard out there. I think that's what shocks me the most, that you forget when you're removed from the application process, when you're not a grade 12 student anymore, or you're studying now already, or you've already graduated, you forget how overwhelming it is to be at that stage of your life and try to make these big decisions. And again, I work with a lot of international students, and students everywhere sometimes are applying to a million different universities in 6 different countries, and they're trying to navigate all those different processes and all of those different documents that they need to submit, and it's so much to think about. So it's been a humbling reminder that it is really challenging and it's really difficult and there's a lot to navigate. So it's just, and I can appreciate that they're going through so much. So if anyone's in that stage, I see you. I commend you for all the hard work you're putting into it. And it's been a good realization for me or a reminder for me that it's not easy to be in that stage. And I think we take for granted the knowledge that we have when we've already gone through a post-secondary institution or already applied and already graduated and are, working and doing whatever. We take for granted all that has gone into getting to that stage. So yeah, it's been a humbling reminder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're not alone in that, right?
Oh, no, not at all. Every student I talk to, 90% of the times, it's the same concerns that I'm hearing. And that's not to invalidate anybody's concerns, but just a reminder that you're not the only person that's feeling so stressed about this. So it's totally fair for you to be stressed and know that you're part of a larger group of grade 12 students or any student applying to university across the world that's so stressed. It is such an important decision, and you want to make the right decision, and so much to think about.
What do you think, when you were looking for universities as a high school student, what support do you think you needed, and what did you look out for?
I had an interesting experience because I had a sibling that went to Waterloo, so I was able to like learn a little bit more about Waterloo before grade 12 as well. But I think what I found really challenging, or like a little bit anxiety inducing maybe, was in grade 12, like going to every booth for every school and like asking the questions. It feels like I felt like I was like bothering them or something, and now I'm on the other end of that and I'm getting these questions, and when students come up to me and they're like scared to ask, I'm like, start anywhere, like start with what do I do about university? And that's a good enough question for me to like go off and tell you some things and help you out. So I really relied on asking people at fairs and university visits and stuff like that about what it's like to study there. And I also really appreciated campus tours. For me, like the decision-making process was also really dependent on how I felt when I was actually in that space. So I took a lot of campus tours and tried to figure out if I could actually see myself walking around on campus day to day, studying in the different study spaces, sitting in the lecture halls, like interacting with the people there. That was a really big part of the decision-making process. So I relied on those supports, like the students that are giving tours and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think lifestyle is a huge thing when choosing a university as well. When I was visiting campuses, it was the same kind of thing. And when I came to Waterloo, I wasn't entirely sure, but once I was like walking around uptown, I was like, this is kind of a vibe. I can kind of see myself in this city.
Yeah, I always say that Waterloo is like a spot for every kind of person. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more lively, there's ways that you can find that. And then if you're looking to just like walk around and listen to the birds chirping, then you can do that as well, right? So it was comforting for me to find that type of community.
Then math recruitment, what's the most frequently asked question that you get by like students, I guess?
Yeah. Do I need to be a perfect student with a million different extracurriculars to get into Waterloo Math? That's usually what students come in perceiving, that they need to be this like perfect student, whatever that might mean. Do you want me to answer the question as well?
Yeah, please.
I usually tell students like it's not, I think when it comes to especially like extracurriculars, they're so worried about what exact type of extracurricular I should be in order to secure an acceptance. And I always say like it's really not as much about like breadth and more about depth and doing something that you really, really like to do. I feel like admissions teams can usually tell when someone's added like 10 different extracurriculars in their final year to boost their application. But it's really nice to see someone that's been involved in something for a really long time and has a passion for it, and has some like leadership initiative in it. So it's not about an exact specific type of extracurricular, but more so just doing something that you're really passionate about, so that we can see what type, well not we, because I'm not doing the admissions, but so that the admissions team can see what type of student you're going to be in the Waterloo community. I think that's usually what I get asked, and that's usually what I'd say.
And how important are grades?
Super important. Yeah, pretty important. You definitely want to be like a strong student academically in your math courses. Even like you don't need a CS course to get into CS, so a lot of students will add CS courses in and think that'll boost their application, but it's really not a requirement. But the math courses you definitely want to be really strong in. Grades is that like first step that we'll look at when we're making decisions. It just really helps us get an idea of how successful you'll be in university. I think one of the like biggest disservices we can do is if we admit a student that is maybe not that strong in high school, and then they suffer in university as well, because it's a pretty rigorous program. So yeah, grades are super important, and then extracurriculars also play a factor. If you do math contests, that can also play a factor if you do really well. So we try to look at like a whole person. Yeah.
And you've already kind of touched on this, but like on an application, what makes a student stand out the most?
I think someone that can like display their passions, and I can appreciate that that's difficult when you have an application that has like limited character or character limits, word limits, and that's a challenge to do. But it's really nice for us to be able to see what the student is passionate about. If they have goals for like leadership goals or goals of bettering the world in some way, that's always really valuable for us to see. And then of course a strong academic student as well.
Awesome, thank you for that. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of, do you have a favorite number?
Favorite number? I like 10.
10, why?
Just 10. It's just
10.
It just is what it is, and it's short and quick, Yeah, I like 10. I like 5. Yeah.
Everyone always says a number 1 to 10. Most people have said a number 1 to 10, which has been interesting.
You know, that is true. I didn't even think about the possibility of past 10. But I guess all numbers are made up of 1 to 9, so.
That's true. That's true.
25's nice. 25's nice.
25 is a good number too. What's that SpongeBob joke?
Hey, Patrick.
What?
I thought of something funnier than 24.
Let me hear it.
25.
I don't get that joke. I didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid, but that's like a thing people do.
I don't think we're supposed to get SpongeBob jokes.
I don't think they're made to be got. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it just exists. SpongeBob just exists, and that's, yeah.
Maybe this is some untapped market that I've just never known of, is like SpongeBob jokes, but
I don't know. It's the internet, you know. Internet is a funny place. Thank you so much for joining us on track, and thank you so much to our wonderful guest.
thanks so much, Marissa.
Any last words of wisdom for students?
Hang in there. Maybe that's a bit defeatist, but I mean it. Hang in there. It'll be okay. You're so much more than the grades you get and the school that you go to. There's so much more beyond that.
I love that. Thank you so much.